A very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us on today's edition of the show. It promises to be exciting as always. A lovely Thursday, and it feels good to be here. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Today on the show, we'll be taking a look at the things happening on the domestic scene. Hopefully, we'll be able to get some discussion around Scrabble on the show tonight. We will also try to talk about the English Premier League. We'll talk about the first Grand Slam of the year. That's talking tennis. We'll tell you about the upsets. We'll tell you about the top seeds that have come crashing, and of course, the ones that are powering on. That's what we're going to do on the show tonight. We'll also take a look at the Nigeria Professional Football League. We'll look at what's happening. Some matches were played yesterday, some played today as well. We'll take a look at all of that, all for you on the show tonight. As usual, I'm not always alone. I have my partner, my colleague, Austin Okona-Akpan. We'll be taking this trip together across the money-spinning world of sports. As soon as he's ready, we will be taking this trip together, and of course we will also tell you about a game that will be played. Hopefully we'll be able to give you a blow-by-blow account of that game, talking about Manchester City and of course Tottenham Hotspur. The game is just about starting, and we will fill you in with what is happening in that game. We'll try to be your eyes and your ears, especially if you're not watching that game and you're glued into us. We'll do our best to make it worth your while on the show tonight. All right, let me quickly also let you know that, of course, we'll use the last part of the show to talk about the Australian Open and, of course, tell you everything that is going on down under in Melbourne in the first Grand Slam of the year. All right, let me go and set the ball rolling and, of course, introduce to you our partner in the Lagos studio as we take this ride together on the money-spinning world of sports. All right, so that's it. Bolo Money joins me now as we take a look at what's happening in the fast-paced, money-spinning and exciting world of sports. Bolo, good to see you. Thanks for finding out time to be with us on the show.
Yeah, good to be again. Good to see your fresh face in the new year 2020. You decided to disappear for a while, but good to have you back. But in the Aussie Open, unfortunately, Africa's superstar Ons Jabeur is out, and we've seen some surprising. Yeah, excuse of the Rafa Nadal injury, but the important thing is he's out. I said one man will be very excited that Nadal is out. His name has to be the greatest man in that court, Djokovic, who has progressed to the next round. Then we have lots of football, a lot of Pep Guardiola decided to be resting Kevin De Bruyne for the important game against Tottenham Hotspur to Carabao Cup, Copa del Rey matches to surprise results in the, well, you can't call it surprise, the Italian Milano derby yesterday, and of course the El Money game in Saudi Arabia between their All-Star plus PSG. I think it's really, really loaded, really loaded. And of course, you can't forget the NPFL.
Definitely, you can't forget the NPFL. And hopefully we'll, get some discussion around Scrabble. Hopefully our guest comes through for us on the show tonight. All right, just like Bolu said, a lot to talk about on the show. We'll do our best to make it worth your while. But Bolu, let's start with Scrabble, and hopefully Austin will join us, and of course we'll have other guests join us as well. Okay, so your thoughts when we talk about Scrabble before we get into professionals to share their thoughts from a neutral perspective in terms of the growth of the game. What can you say?
Well, overall, I think ball games generally is still under the card in Nigeria, and globally it's growing really, really well. I remember when people come back, well, Scrabble is difficult, how do you? I said, can you speak English? He said, yes. I said, you can play Scrabble then. It's just knowing the right words to play at the right time, especially the 2-3 letter words, knowing the specific, knowing how to use the Qs, knowing how to use the Zs and Co. But I think we need to do more. I remember I was on the show with, I think, the African Scrabble champion at the point, the Nigerian, lamenting about lack of fund support and everything. I think we need to do much more because these things are growing, as in not just growing step by step, it is growing globally. I hope we can just invest more. Some person said maybe Nigeria not qualifying for the Olympic Games. We leave the door, I mean football, we leave the door open to other sports. But it still feels like we are not doing enough. But at least the fact that we have champions, we have a federation, it means at least there's still hope for us. So hopefully we do enough to invest more. At least based on what we saw, the budget for 2023 for the sport ministry, hopefully they invest it in the right places.
Hopefully they do. All right, let me get Austin into the conversation to the conversation. All right, getting ahead of myself there. I want to get Austin into the conversation even as we go on the show tonight. Well, Austin is right here with me, all smiles, suited and ready for the show. Good to see you, Austin, and it's good to do this again with you.
What a greetings to you, Yemi, and of course our viewers from different parts of the world. Still an action-packed world of sports right here in England. That crucial Premier League game between Manchester City and Tottenham has just kicked off. City hoping to win this one so they can reduce the lead that Arsenal has got on top of the league table. Tottenham needs to win it to keep their top four race relevant. So it's a crucial game for both sides. We get to see who wants it more at the end of that fixture. Also on the show tonight, so much going on right there at the Australian Open. I heard Bolu say that Djokovic will be smiling because of what happened to Rafa Nadal. I don't think he will be smiling. In fact, Djokovic had injury scare today and just managed to, breeze past through. So the Australian Open will definitely get us talking. Also, some major upsets in the women's category. But some of the names you still expect to go all the way, still battling strong right there at in Melbourne.
All right, also, let me just pass the baton to you and, of course, allow you lead that conversation tonight on the show. We'll be talking Scrabble, taking a look at what's going on right about now in Nigeria. And we hope to have a good conversation round about Scrabble, just as we've been doing with other games. And, of course, let me allow you lead the charge as we go into that conversation.
Yeah, we're expecting to have the president of the Scrabble Federation of Nigeria, Toke Aka. We're still waiting to have him. But Scrabble has an interesting story. I mean, remember when Wellington Jigere went to Australia in Perth to stun the world, he beat an Englishman to become world champion. I think that was in 2015, and so the world started looking at Nigeria, particularly with Scrabble. Scrabble, again, you can put it into the mix with cycling, a sport that is doing so well with leisure. Kids are getting into it, and with our population and talent, you'd expect us to do so well with Scrabble. But funding has been a major issue for the federation. So hopefully when we have the president going to talk to
sorry
us.
to butt in, is ready, and I think we can just go straight and have that conversation. Of course, with you leading the charge, and of course, I'll be coming in with some in-swingers.
That's right. Let's get into it. The president of the Scrabble Federation of Nigeria, Toke Aka. Good to have you join us on Sports Tonight. Good to see you again. Happy New Year.
Yeah, it's nice to see your smiling face, Austin. Happy New Year to you, and Happy New Year to everybody out there in the studio. Happy New Year to the Nigerians out there. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Okay, I'm struggling to hear you, but let's just get into the conversation. Hopefully, we're going to get that fixed, and the feedback will be okay. Let's talk about Scrabble in Nigeria. What are some of the things we achieved in 2022 that we can consolidate upon in 2023?
I came back to the Scrabble scene, to the leadership of Scrabble in Nigeria 2022. Or let's say 2021, and this is about my second year now. And as soon as we came into the fold, I told all the representatives from the zone that they are as good as mini presidents. And what do I mean by this? The activity should actually come from bottom up. And as soon as the zonal representatives, 6 of them, agreed with us on the board, they knew they had to get the action going. So every zone had to give us 2 events. A closed event to their zone, where only players within their zone will play in the Scrabble tournament they were organizing, and one open to the whole nation. So all in all, we had there about 12 major events across Nigeria in the past year. And the same last year, we went for the West Africa Scrabble Championship in Accra, Ghana, for the very first time. Like I always say, what football could not do with the Ghanaians, we went out to Ghana and we trashed them. Out of 10 prizes, I think we only left 1 prize for them in Ghana. We won the very first edition of the West Africa Scrabble Championship. Came back home not long after that, so there about 5 months after that. I think in November precisely, we jetted out to Zambia for the 14th Africa Scrabble Championship. And to my joy, Enoch Nwali, who is a student of University of Lagos, emerged the 14th Africa champion. Emerged the champion in the 14th Africa Championship. Along the line, we've had a couple of Nigerians winning the championship twice. People like Jigere Wellington, Dennis Ikekerego. Those are the guys who have won it twice. So Enoch Nwali, who was the most valuable player at the 2022 Nuga Games in Lagos, emerged as the champion for the 14th edition of the Africa Scrabble Championship, which is a very good thing for the development of the game. Because in that particular Nuga Games, we had, I think, about 32 universities featuring 162 players, both male and female. And yes, we also had the sports festival. In the sports festival, that's the easiest game that, you take 12 players to the games, or there are about 9 players, and you can win as much as 16 medals. So with least expenditure. And I think it's catching on strong. We had 27 states featuring in that particular sports festival. So it was a very busy year for us. And we just released the calendar of events for the Federation yesterday for this year, and it's studded. A lot of people have gone back to their books, knowing that every other week there's an event out there for them to play in. And of course, when we play Scrabble, there are monetary gains, because that's the reward for good performance.
Awesome. I like that the calendar for the year is full, and we're looking forward to more Scrabble activities. Tell us some of those major events so the media can monitor.
Okay, the one we are all looking up to right now is the World Championship that will be coming up in July in Las Vegas. Because of the difficulty of getting visas, we've decided to have a qualifying event to pick our top players next weekend. As soon as we pick the top players, we are going to be requesting for expedited interview dates with the U.S. Embassy, because we go to their website now, you see that the earliest you can get an interview date is over 800 days. We are talking close to 3 years here. And this is an event we have to attend in July of this year. So definitely we need expedited interview dates for these players. So that's a major one. I can bet you that the likes of Enoch Nwali, Jigere Wellington, Etakaro, Tunde Oduwole will be able to get tickets, because ratings don't lie, like we say. So if you manage to get yourself to the top of the ratings in Nigeria, which is a consistent one from active play, continuous active play, you end up getting a slot in the top of the ratings. And when you go for the qualifiers also, the qualifiers will be rated, at the end of which the best players will be selected. Again, Nigeria will be hosting the 2nd edition of the West Africa Scrabble Championship, which we won last year in Accra, Ghana. That will be when we come back from the World Championship. This particular event, I think it's bread and butter for us, because if we have won 13 championships out of 14 in Africa, then I don't see us not winning a regional championship. As for the World Championship, we'll give it a try again. We won it in 2015. We came second. The second best player was from Nigeria. That was Moses Peters in 2017. In 2019, it was an online edition, and 2019 was in India. And Enoch Nwali was the best player in India. He came 9th position. So it's not surprising that he ended up becoming the Africa champion. So we expect to retain our #1 slot as the best Scrabble playing nation in the world come July again, as long as we're able to get our top players to play in the event.
I like the things you've said. I'll soon hand over to Lagos, but let's do this conversation. We are #1 Scrabble playing nation in the world. We have the talent. I know there are a lot of Scrabble clubs around the country, Nigeria. We also have students showing interest in Scrabble, schools also. Why is funding still an issue? If it's getting so much followership, why is it difficult to get the private sector to invest in Scrabble?
Well, your guess is as good as mine. I think with all these success stories being highlighted by the press, eventually we'll get partners who want to partner with us, because I know that success has many relatives, but failure is an orphan. So with us winning again, back to our winning, it's not as if we ever stopped winning, but somehow I think maybe the major problem was the fact that they say we are not a spectator sport. People don't get to see close action. But with social media these days, and with a lot of gadgets here and there, you can actually beam boards. People can follow games live as it's being played. So that particular effect is going to help us market the game the more. Because with your handheld devices, you can easily follow the games as they are being played. If you go to our website, anytime we have a tournament, there's a particular page on it where you can follow our events. I forgot to let you know that if you look at the ratings for the World Scrabble, in the top 10 for the world, there are 4 Nigerians in there. 4 Nigerians out of 10. And there are over 42 Scrabble playing nations in the world that play English Scrabble. And if out of 42 nations, 4 are coming from one particular nation for the top 10 in the world, that speaks volumes for us.
From there, and thanks once again for finding time to be with us on the show tonight. We appreciate that a lot. Of course, I'm always interested about newcomers to the game. Our guest in the Lagos studio has talked about how people love the game, but also talked about the challenges, you know, with board games. So I'm interested, and I want to ask, I mean, how easy is access? You know, let's separate the leisure part of the game and talk about the professional aspect of the game that I'm very sure you're interested in. So how easy is it to get training? How easy is it to probably get affiliated with the federation and know about these programs and how to develop young talents in the game of Scrabble?
Thank you for this very nice question. My duty is to get as many people as possible to be playing Scrabble in Nigeria. Now, Scrabble is a game that without being prompted, you go to the shelf and pick it up in a shop and start to play and teach your children. You just read through the manual, you teach your family, you start to play. But now this is the difference. When you play with your family, you just play the basic English words. There are many obscure English words that lots of people don't know about. But as professional Scrabble players, I can tell you that my top players know virtually every word in the Scrabble dictionary, and we're talking about 260,000 words here. That's the difference. So moving from leisure to pro is a matter of following certain instructions. And the statistics aspect of the game you get to know about, because there's a probability of what you can pick out of the bag most of the times. For example, you know, RETAINS, that's retains. Retains plays 10 other words like stainer, retinas, retina. So at the level of pro, these are things you must know. So, and you can only know them if you read the more. So the volume of knowledge, the volume of words that top Scrabble players know is quite high. And the only way you move from leisure to pro is for you to assimilate more of this kind of words so that you can also not miss your word when you see them. Some people complain of too many eyes on their rack. We have words that have 3 eyes, words like lividity, virility.
Yeah.
So those words are like second nature to us. We know them very easily. What we do is to teach you to know the words that quickly come out from the bag.
All right.
When you have the tiles, because there are 100 tiles in the bag. If you don't study accordingly, you tend to play like a novice, like somebody playing in the sitting room. So that's the major difference.
Okay.
And with us going into the schools, virtually all facets of life in Nigeria now play Scrabble. In the police games, in the military games, the Navy games, the bankers games, medical association games, sports festival, Nigeria Polytechnic games, both students, lecturers, Nigeria University games, all walks of life in this country. Even in the civil service games, they play Scrabble now. So I think it's going to be a ripple effect right across to different people. And you'll be surprised that the people from the Delta region of the south part of Nigeria happen to be the best Scrabble players. And I think that's because they are overly smart people from that part of the country.
Okay, that's a good place to leave it on the show today. I want to thank you for your time. Unfortunately, we don't have much time to go through all of the issues, but hopefully we'll do this again some other time, all right? So thank you very much. We'll do this again some other time. My pleasure. Thank you for having me here today. All right. Okay, we'll be speaking with the president of Nigeria Scrabble Federation, Lobato Keyaka. He's been, of course, sharing his thoughts with us on the growth and development of Scrabble in Nigeria. We need to go on a break right about now. When we return from that break, we'll be talking about retired former female athletes, and we'll also be talking about football on the domestic scene. Join us again. All right, welcome back. Let's move on the show. We're done with Scrabble. I hope you enjoyed the conversation we had with the president of the Scrabble Federation of Nigeria. But it's time to talk about former female athletes in Nigeria and some of the activities they've been involved in and the plans that they have in the upcoming days. Of course, we're talking about them tonight because of the things that they are planning to do. The president of the federation, that's talking about the Association of Former Female Athletes in Nigeria, Toyin Luko, says the association is set to honor ex-Nigerian female international athletes that have brought honor to the country in the 60s and the 70s. And of course, there's a temptation to forget all of these people. Some of them are not widely known, and this is why this step is taken. At a media briefing in Abuja to herald the event scheduled for Saturday, January 25th, Dr. Luko says the recognition will cut across female athletes that participated in hockey, athletics, and other sports. There will also be a novelty match in honor of the ex-athletes on January the 20th at the National Stadium, Package B. That will be in Abuja. Let's quickly listen to, of course, take some excerpts from that media briefing. I will come back for more on Sports Tonight.
We are so passionate, about celebrating ourselves, because we realize that if we don't celebrate ourselves, nobody would. And that's why we are coming together to celebrate ourselves, to allow the younger ones. If you ask any younger athlete now, do you know anything about Bishop Oshikoya? They will tell you no. If you go even to the federations, you will not find records of most of these people seated here today. And one of the things that we are going to do during this program is that we are going to have the names of all the athletes that participated in the 60s and 70s. And we are going to have the names published, those alive and the deceased ones. So it will help the various federations to begin to build on that record. After this, we are celebrating the 60s and 70s athletes this year. By the special grace of God, the next one will be the former female athletes of Nigeria of the 80s, because there are quite many. So we are going to take only 1 year, 80s. Next year, God preserving our lives by His grace, we will do that. Due to divine intervention, some of us went to school. And because God gave us that opportunity to go to school, some of us during our sporting careers, some of us after. And because we know the importance of education, because definitely, like you said, injury might even set in, then the sport will stop. Age will set in, and the sport will stop. Then after sport, what next? And that is why AFAN is poised to encourage athletes. Like I said earlier, I'm talking about sport and brains. If you are looking at the future national coaches, you need to start looking at the athletes that are playing here, because the number one criterion of being a coach is that you must have played that sport. Now, they have that. What next do they need to become professional coaches? And that is education. Sport is no longer like what it used to be. Sport is science. Yes. You don't just ask athletes to jump up and down. Why are they jumping up and down? What do you want to achieve? And that is why when you go to school, when you go to university, you are exposed to courses like anatomy and physiology, biomechanics, science of sports, exercise physiology, and all that. A coach must have knowledge of science. It's important.
All right. Of course, that was the media briefing out today. We're looking at former female athletes of Nigeria, people who've represented Nigeria. Let me just quickly go to Austin. This is something Austin monitored a lot. You've been following this, and I was chatting with Bolu off camera. The women are very unique. The challenges they face and all of the things. Sometimes the lifespan of a female, in fact, most of the time, the lifespan of a female athlete is not as long as the guys because, I mean, family issues, you know, childbirth and all of that. And in spite of all of that, you look at Nigeria, currently, still the ladies making us proud.
That's right. I mean, that's because they are better managers. And if you take a look at the major objective of this AFAN, which is the Association of the Former Female Athletes of Nigeria, they're trying to stay relevant in their own space. And Dr. Toyin Aluko was very clear when she said, if we start asking people to mention female athletes from the 60s and the 70s, a lot of persons have forgotten them, you know, but they represented the country, not just gave the country good representation. I should mention the 80s and now the 90s. I like the way they are not just trying to empower themselves as former female athletes. They are also using their voices to tell those that are active now the importance of education, you know, because right after your active days, it's your education that keeps you relevant. And that's laudable from these women. We should say well done to them. That's why I want us to keep this conversation going. We'll try to get Dr. Toyin Aluko. Let's find out the role former female athletes can play in the development of sports in Nigeria, because women are better managers. We just need to give them, you know, that space to operate, and you'll see the way they will perform. So good one coming from AFAN, who monitor the event, and I'm sure the novelty game will really give us some, you know, good funny aspect of football. Bolu, this is the way to go. Do you agree?
One of the key things I have to pick from what you said was the part that they are trying to teach the current athletes, because you can't take away education. Let's even look at the men. How many of the ex-internationals are relevant now. Most of the relevant ones are those that are educated. You cannot take away the place. That's why I'm excited for some of even Super Falcons, but I think the likes of Oshuala, the likes of Rashida Tajibade, because there has to be something after it. It's good when you are active now. Everybody wants to be your friend, but many of them, if not most, when you step out of retirement, people just turn to the current ones. I saw a story about Funke Oshinake, who, I don't think any athletes have the length of her years in terms of active sports. She's, I think she's almost 50 in the body of like a teenager, and she's played for over 20 years. Now she's a nurse. I think she's graduated as a nurse in Germany. That's someone who still had years, over 20 years. Then imagine athletes that have maybe 10 years or less. If you don't prepare for this life after retirement, no matter how active or good you are or how much you make, the retirement will come. Even if you play till you are 50, it will come. So if you are educated, it means not every athlete will become coaches. Not every athlete will become administrators. So if any of those things don't work, do you start going to the street to beg? That's where your education will come. It doesn't necessarily have to be studied to be an accountant. It doesn't have to be studied to be a coach now. But have this thing for... You never can tell. You may be even an official. You can retire today as an active player. There's a former Chelsea player who became an actor. Education is very key. So that's the most important thing I got from. So they are not just telling us that, okay, yeah, we need money, remember us. No. They're also sending advice to the younger ones. Why? Because we've been there before. And that's what, like they say, elders do, advise the next generation.
And just to say this before we leave this matter altogether, not just because you can't do sports for all your life. It's given at some point. And you just talked about somebody who's been lucky to have 20, 30 years. Not everybody is going to get it. And being a woman, being the way God has created them, they're unique. Sometimes they get what you call hardball. Some things drop on their laps, probably wasn't planned for. We're joking about Serena Williams. You know, probably if she didn't go and, you know, probably have that baby, she probably would have eclipsed the Grand Slam numbers. So these things do happen. That is why you can't even afford not to plan.
Exactly. You just kind of, because we all have different bodies, especially for women. You hear some maybe give birth, some persons are lucky enough after childbirth, no change, nothing, a week or two, they go back to shape. Some never go back to the shape they were. So there has to be an intentional plan, not, okay, how it comes, no. And no matter, except maybe those that get into different things, it's almost impossible to make as more money as you made while you were being active. So there has to be a plan. So I was surprised when I heard there's an association for it. It means there are elders, there are mothers who are telling the children
who've seen the bigger picture.
Do these things. We've been there before. These are the mistakes we made. You should, when they tell you learn from mistakes, it is not your own mistake they're talking about. It's mistakes of those that have gone ahead of you. Well, if you didn't learn from them, you will learn from yours.
All right, guys, I think we can move on now and talk about other things because we're pressed for time. Let's go on now and talk about the Nigeria Professional Football League. Some matches were played yesterday, and of course, some played today. Let's focus on the ones played today. Let's give you a quick rundown of the results. I'm very sure it's going to come up on the screen, and we'll quickly take a look at it. Bolu will give us his thoughts, and I'm very sure Austin was monitoring as well. Some very, very interesting results to look at. Matches played in Group A, the ones also played in Group B. I'm very sure it's going to come up on the screen. And Bolu, a lot of people have been talking about Rem All Stars, how they've been able to, I mean, I think they've won 2 of their matches, and also contrasting with Rangers, they've lost 2. But your thoughts while we wait for the results to pop up on screen, which of the results, and Enyimba Akwa United actually, I know Austin's going to smile with this one, Enyimba Akwa United actually turned out the way I expected it to. It was going to be very close, and it turned out, it didn't even produce a goal.
Even though it felt like there was one strange call in that game that Akwa United could have had a penalty in that. It looked like a clear penalty, but the referee, things like that, you either give a penalty or a dive. But the ref just gave a goal kick, and people were like, what's going on? Then, you know,
if it's not a penalty, then the other
it has to be a call for something. But it didn't give. Now, Enyimba, I think they've not scored in 3 straight games at home. It means they've not won any of their last 3 home games. We are having some interesting records. Abia Warriors, remember, they're one of the only 6 teams that have 6 points in the 2 games. We have Plateau United losing about 9 games away from home on the bounce. This is the kind of thing we are seeing away wins. Remo Stars picked up from where they left last season. Only 4 teams have 6 points in the 2 groups.
But let's just quickly run through. Let me quickly run through, and I'm very sure you're going to help me out with some of this. And Austin is probably jotting down some notes as well, because I know it keenly follows what happens here back home in the Nigerian Professional Football League. And so you have it right there on your screen. Alkanemi Warriors defeated Nasarawa United 2-1. Gombe United lost to Remo Stars. Remo traveling away. A lot of people have been waxing lyrical about how they've been well kitted, how organized they look, how they enter, the coaching crew and the players enter into the pitch, and their traveling arrangement for games as well has come under scrutiny. A lot of interesting things about it. Shooting Stars and Kora United played out a goalless draw. Bendel Insurance defeated Plateau United 2-1. That will be 2 wins. Two for Bendel Insurance as well. And Aimba and Aqua United. Let's stay on this for a while. Let me get your thoughts then. We'll bring Austin. I've told you, man, as well. This was what I was looking out for, and I was not surprised when it turned out to be goalless, but you've told us some of the things. How about the other games? Remo Stars, for instance, is it too early to start saying they're reaping the benefits of being well organized?
Well, we said that it was too early last season until they fought hard to get to the continent. Unfortunately, they couldn't get to the group stages. You can't take away proper plan. I say it all the time. When you know you are doing your job and money is not a challenge, it rings in your mind that, let me give everything I can. Remember when they switched coach, people were like, it will affect them a bit. Well, so far, so good for them. Only 2 teams have 6 points in their Group A, and themselves and Bendel Insurance are part of the 2 teams. Talking about their proper plan, well, the owner of the club has a club in Portugal. It's a no-brainer. It's bringing this plan, the way the club is being run.
Standard practice.
If you have another way the standard is there, you can't drop the bar in Nigeria, and it's showing in what they have. I'm sure if they win the league, the only surprise will be a club that just got here a few years ago. The surprise won't be how did they do it, because the proper planning is there. When they do transfer, we get information about it. You talked about the coaching, how they come out and everything. So hopefully it's a platform for others to learn out. These guys are doing this thing, it's working. So maybe we can also do the same thing. Bendel Insurance, surprise, surprise. They won their first game away from home to Aqua United. Okay, well, maybe it happened like that. Now they're beating another top-tier side in Plateau United, who have lost lots of games on the bounce. These are the kind of shock we want to see in the NPFL. Like you rightly said, the Imba Aqua United, the only thing we didn't see was goals. It shows 2 historic teams who decided to be cautious, and in the end, they shared the spoils. Goalless, Imba now have 4 points, and that was Aqua United's first point.
All right, let's go to the other one. Like I said, I know Austin's taking notes, and get to him. In the Group B, you have Sunshine Stars and Rivers United turned out to be a 1-1 draw. Niger Tornadoes defeated newcomers Doma United 1-0. Abia Warriors defeated Bayelsa United 3-1. Lobi Stars defeated Rangers 1-0. Dakada defeated Wiki Tourists 2-1. So we have all the results. Everything is complete now. So your thoughts on Group B?
Abia Warriors flying so far. Remember, they won their first game 3-1 away from home. They are topping Group B for now. Only themselves and Niger Tornadoes have 6 points in that group. And bottom, Wiki Tourists 0. Well, maybe not surprised with Wiki Tourists, but you have to be shocked. Rangers have played 2 games without any points at all. Early days, like they say, but abridged version, you are not playing 38 games. That's one thing people need to remember. You are playing just 18 games. You have to start well, because not that if you finish top, you are winning, no. But at least you have to be part of the top 3 to qualify for the Super 6 to have a chance. So it's been interesting so far. Lobby Stars here, any team beating Rangers is always a call for question. How did it happen? The Rangers or Enugu Rangers or Rangers International that we know, they are supposed to be among the guys at the top. But fortunately for now, after 2 games, they are rock bottom. And defending champions Rivers United, a draw, 4 points so far. They won their first game at home. Second game, they draw. Well, if you win all your home games in the NPFL, and you try as much as you can to draw away matches, well, you are good to go.
All right, let's go to Austin, and of course, we have to do a sprint. We have a lot of ground to cover. In about 9 minutes, we'll get thrown out of the studio. But first, you have to give us your wrap, Austin. I mean, I've talked about the only game that I saw, and it was good for me because, I mean, as a neutral person, I saw it and I liked it. But Group A, Group B, any surprises and your thoughts?
No surprises that much, because these days when Remo Stars do the things they do, you can't call it surprise. You just said it, they are reaping the benefits of being a well-organized professional football club. Let me tell you a story. At that game between Remo Stars and Gombe United, that bad blood. Remember last season when Remo Stars were going on a roller coaster ride. They were on, I think, 12-game unbeaten run. It was at the Pantami Stadium that Gombe United stopped them. So they went there today with that in mind. And one guy that did almost everything for Remo Stars last season was Andy Okwe. He scored the only goal of that match. He was trying to get out of the country to play, I think, in Ghana. It didn't work. He's back to Remo Stars now. He gave Remo Stars the only goal in that game to, give them victory. Good win for Remo Stars. Keeps their 100% record, and as long as they keep doing these good things, the owners of the club will, keep, upping the game for them to stay relevant. The game between Bendel Insurance and Plateau United, Yemi, also got me talking. I was following that match from here in London. Bendel Insurance opened scoring in the 53rd minute. Extra time, first minute of extra time, Plateau United equalized. And in the 3rd minute, Bendel Insurance scored. So the drama happened in the closing minutes of the game. I had to give Bendel Insurance a 2-1 win. For other games, Abia Warriors, I like the way they're starting. I've said it over and over again that Abia Warriors is one team that has got good mentality when they're on the pitch, and we're beginning to see it. Rivers United, as long as they're not winning, I'm sure the champions have said to themselves they will not lose. The NPFL is back. We'll continue to monitor.
All right, let's go to the one that brought a lot of laughter and smiles. Ronaldo and Lionel Messi in the news again. The All-Stars in Riyadh, Saudi All-Stars and PSG. A lot of talking points. I wish we had time. I read somewhere somebody jokingly said that Sergio Ramos whispered to Cristiano Ronaldo and said, just put it at the corner. I'll let it go in. I'll pretend I didn't know. But a lot of very interesting. But what do you make of that game? A lot of people said Ronaldo thought it was a World Cup final, and he played. He just played with all he had. Got 2 goals. At the end of the day, PSG won.
Yeah, it was a good game of football, a 9-goal thriller, 5-4 it ended at the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, using this exhibition match once again to tell the world that they are ready to host big football matches. Think about any top player in the world, right there in Riyadh. Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, Kylian Mbappe, Sergio Ramos, Marquinhos. You can go on. And the stadium was packed. Cristiano Ronaldo, I got 2 goals in that one. Lionel Messi also scored a goal. Cristiano Ronaldo was given the Man of the Match award. It was a good game, Yemi. I just looked at it and I said, look, well, in fact, there was a time Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, and Mbappe were standing and they were talking, and I said, this is the end of an era and the start of another era. They would have just given, passed the baton to Mbappe and say, go ahead and run the race. It was a good game of football.
All right, I agree with you. Bolu, your thoughts? A few seconds on that because we have to go to Australian Open right about now. What do you make of that? A lot of people have accused Saudi Arabia of sports washing. But there's a lot of money on the table and everybody's grabbing a piece of it.
Let me just say 2 major things. The first one is we heard someone paid about $2 million for the VIP to sit in a special session and also be able to go and meet these guys in the dressing room. If I was that guy, I would just collect Ronaldo and Messi dresses. I'm fine. And both of them scored the first 2 goals in the game. After they scored, the friends said game over. This is just what they wanted.
That's what they wanted to see.
Ronaldo trending, Messi trending, not for the wrong reasons, because both of them scored. Well, like they say in the local parlance, when you are big, you are big.
Okay. All right, also we got to go.
We got to go, Yemi. And before we go, let me drop this shocker. At the Etihad Stadium, it's Manchester City 0. Tottenham 2. That's the show. In London, I'm Austin Okonakpan. In everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.
All right. What a way to go home. Bolu, we want to thank you for your time on the show today. Hopefully we'll do this again some other time.
Yeah, definitely. It's a pleasure being around you.
All right. And that's the show today. We thank you for allowing us to be a part of your day, allowing us into your rooms without knocking on the door. It's a privilege we'll never take for granted. We'll do this again tomorrow. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.